Welcome to the pickup demonstration lesson. In this lesson, we will take the Huey off the ground and into a low altitude hover and ground effect, IGE, to demonstrate the initial step of a takeoff and basic hover control. For this lesson, the helicopter is lightly loaded and the weather is ideal with no wind. Control requirements will vary with increased takeoff weight and will be more difficult in windy conditions. Use the controls indicator to monitor the position of the flight controls. Remember, the flight controls of a helicopter are almost never stationary in flight, in particular in the cyclic and especially during a hover. When performing a takeoff, be prepared to constantly make fine adjustments to the controls. Let's take a look at the position of the flight controls. At mission start, the cyclic and pedals are neutralized in the center. The collective is in a fully down position. Unfortunately, the starting position of the controls isn't very useful for flight. The position of the controls for any particular flight regime, including a hover, depend on airspeed, altitude, aircraft weight, payload, weather, and other conditions. However, the approximate hover position of the controls will generally be with the cyclic back and left and the left pedal pressed in. I will now set my controls in the approximate hover position. Watch the positions of the cyclic and pedals on the controls indicator. Once your controls are set in the approximate hover position, begin to very slowly raise the collective. Do this slowly enough to give yourself time to counteract any movement you detect from the helicopter. Counter any roll and sliding tendency with very light opposite cyclic. Counter any nose yaw with very light opposite pedal. Pay attention to how the cyclic is used continuously to make fine adjustments in attitude, and the pedals are used to maintain heading. Find a visual reference point well ahead of the helicopter. This will help to maintain closer visual cues like the runway markings within your peripheral vision to help you detect movement. Allow the helicopter to settle at a desired altitude and let the collective rest in place. The helicopter hovers best near the ground, where ground effect acts like an air cushion below the helicopter. Ground effect is only present to an altitude of approximately half of the rotor's diameter, or about 24 feet. It is reduced as altitude increases. Climbing above this altitude will transition you out of ground effect, OGE, which demands more engine power to maintain. Hovering out of ground effect may be impossible with high takeoff weights or in hot and high conditions. When performing a takeoff, you will proceed with the transition to forward flight from a hover altitude of about 3 feet skid height. This concludes the pickup demonstration lesson.